Have you ever wondered what lies behind the headlines? What if it's not just about gossip anymore? If you've been following the Sussexes, Harry and Meghan, you might have noticed a deeply unsettling trend. It's not about fashion, protocol, or popularity contests anymore. This is about fear and intimidation. Just consider a recent chilling headline from a UK tabloid. Prince Harry and Meghan are prime targets for kidnappers and extremists on the dark web. Let's pause for a moment. Have you asked yourself, where was this urgency when Harry first pleaded for security? Where was the concern when he testified in court about the online threats hunting his family? They dismissed him as dramatic, as overreacting. They laughed. But now they're echoing his fears, fears that he voiced with a sense of urgency and sincerity. They laughed when Harry expressed his fears. Now they're confirming exactly what he feared. Do you ever notice patterns? Patterns that seem to repeat every time someone rises, creates, or succeeds? It's almost as if there's an invisible force that doesn't want them to shine. A force that thrives on a pattern of negativity. And unfortunately, this pattern is all too familiar for the Sussexes. Each time Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex embark on a new venture, create something meaningful, or even just live their lives, the UK press seems to be waiting in the wings, ready to pull them back down. The criticisms are not just harsh. They're relentless and they're personal. It's like watching a dark cloud that refuses to move on, casting a shadow over every step the Sussexes take. But this isn't just about casting shadows anymore. This pattern has taken an even darker turn. It's become more calculated, more sinister. It's as if the press is not content with just criticizing their actions. They now want to instill fear in them. The headlines have evolved from petty mockery to ominous warnings. The gossip columns have turned into terror alerts. It's a chilling change, and it's impossible to ignore. And why? Because Harry and Meghan dared to choose their own path? Because they refused to bow down to a system that didn't respect them? Because they chose freedom over constraint? Is that why they've become targets? This isn't just an attack on two individuals. This is a campaign to silence those who dare to break the royal rules. But let's call it what it is. This isn't journalism. This is a calculated attempt to intimidate, to control, and to wield power. So when we see headlines switch from mockery to warnings, from tabloid gossip to terror alerts, we can't turn a blind eye. We can't pretend it's just another news cycle. We call it what it is, a campaign to silence. Because in the face of fear, Harry and Meghan have chosen to speak their truth. They've chosen to rise above the negativity. And for that, they deserve not just our respect, but our support. Have you ever thought about the dynamics of power and control? This situation with Harry and Meghan Sussex isn't about public safety, it's about power, it's about control, and it's about punishing those who dare to break the royal rules. Harry and Meghan chose not to fall in line. They decided not to bow to a system that they believed was harmful. They chose freedom. But freedom, as they quickly discovered, came at a cost. They became targets, not just for the sharp words and scathing headlines, but for something much more sinister. These power dynamics are nothing new. They've been in play for centuries. But what's different here is how they're being used, twisted, and weaponized against two individuals who simply wanted to live their lives on their own terms. And what of the media? The same media that once mocked Harry for his fears, for his pleas for protection, is now using fear as a tool. It's not enough to simply report the news anymore. They've become the puppet masters behind the scenes, pulling the strings, stirring up fear and controversy for the sake of a headline. Harry has been sounding the alarm for years. He's been trying to tell anyone who would listen that the threats are real, that the danger he feared for his wife and children wasn't a figment of his imagination, that the tragedy that befell his mother could, in fact, happen again. And now, the same media that once ridiculed him for his fears is using those same fears to sell their stories. Harry wasn't paranoid, he was prepared. The power dynamics at play here are not about public safety, they're about control. They're about punishing those who dare to step out of line. They're about maintaining the status quo, no matter the cost. He's been sounding the alarm, telling anyone who would listen that the threats are real, and now even the media that mocked him is using fear. What happens when jokes turn into warnings? What happens when the press switches their tone so easily? These are questions we must all consider in our media-saturated world. It's an unsettling reality, but one we must confront head-on. In the world of journalism, there exists a fine line between freedom of speech and cruelty. And when that line is crossed, it's not just an attack on individuals, but on the very fabric of our society. This is why it's crucial to speak out, to stand against cruelty that masks itself as journalism. When humour morphs into a threat, when light-hearted banter becomes a sinister warning, we need to question the intent behind these words. We need to scrutinise the narrative being pushed out and the power dynamics at play. The Sussexes, Harry and Meghan, have been at the receiving end of this media cruelty, but instead of being silenced, they've chosen to speak their truth. They've taken a stand, not just for themselves, but for everyone who's been unfairly targeted by the media. And that's a courageous act, an act of resilience, an act of defiance against a system that thrives on intimidation and fear. Speaking truth is not always easy, especially when you're up against powerful entities. It takes strength, it takes courage, but it's the only way to break free from the chains of manipulation, to reclaim your narrative, and to inspire change. The media's ability to switch tones so effortlessly, from mockery to warnings, raises a critical question. Were they ever joking in the first place? Or was it a calculated attempt to undermine and intimidate? Truth is a powerful weapon. It's a beacon of light in the darkness. It's the voice that refuses to be silenced. And it's the force that holds the powerful accountable. To the Sussexes, we see you, we hear you, we believe you. Your courage to speak truth to power, to face adversity head-on, is a testament to your strength. Your journey serves as a stark reminder of the importance of speaking truth, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable. Continue to use your platform to inspire change, to challenge the status quo, and to advocate for a fairer, more compassionate world. If Harry was wrong, why do they sound so scared now? Let that question linger for a moment. It's a question that has been circling around, whispering in the corners, and it's time we brought it into the light. If Prince Harry was merely being paranoid, why is there such fear now? Why are the same voices that once laughed now echoing with concern? It's time we look at the bigger picture and confront the truth that's been staring us in the face. Fear is not a sign of overreaction. It's a sign of understanding, of recognizing the threats that exist. It was never about paranoia. It was about preparedness. It was about protecting those he loves most from a world that can often be cruel and unforgiving. And now, even the same media outlets that once mocked him are using fear to validate his concerns. They're acknowledging the danger, the very threat he's been warning about. The question then is, if he was wrong, why are they now echoing his fears? Harry and Meghan chose to break free from the constraints of royal life. They chose freedom over tradition, authenticity over pretense. They dared to live their truth, and for that they have faced relentless scrutiny and hostility, not just from the tabloids, but from the very institution they were part of. But in the face of adversity, they've remained steadfast. They've shown us that it's possible to stand up against intimidation, to fight for your rights, to prioritize your mental health, and to carve your own path in the world. So to the Sussexes I say this: stay strong, stay safe, and never stop speaking your truth. Your courage is a testament to many around the world, a beacon of hope that it's possible to confront fears, to challenge norms, and to create a future that you truly desire. And to those still doubting, I leave you with this question. If Harry was wrong, why do they sound so scared now? Thank you for joining us on this journey. We are deeply appreciative of your time and engagement. It's through these shared moments of exploration and understanding that we shed light on the truth and challenge the narratives that seek to diminish it. The story of Harry and Meghan is not just about them. It's about everyone who has ever dared to step out of line, to demand respect, to seek freedom. Let's continue to stand for truth, for justice, and against any form of cruelty disguised as journalism. Let's strive to create a world where power and control are not used to punish, but to uplift and inspire. Let's remember that we are stronger when we stand together. May God protect the Sussexes. May their children grow in peace. And may this world stop tolerating cruelty masquerading as journalism.